Hello, knife lovers. Welcome to Knife Delights. In this video, I'd like to discuss a little glitch that I found in the Buck Knives dating system. And I ran into this as I was doing research here on the Buck Wrangler. And I was wanting to do a video just on the Buck Wrangler, which is Buck's Jumbo Stockman model. It's model number 307. And as I was going to date the knife, well, in doing my research, I found out that the Tang stamp does not necessarily meet the guide that is provided by Buck as to how they date their knives. So, if we look at the Tang stamp on the 307 here, you will see it says Buck 307 USA. And then if you take a look at Buck's chart here, this is on their website, it would show that this model was made between 1972 and 1986. Well, here's the problem with that. In doing my research on the Wrangler, I found out that these knives were all made by Camillus. Buck was not making their Stockmans initially on their own. They contracted with Camillus to do their Stockmans. Now later on, as Buck spokesman said, they learned how to make the Stockman, and they, got the tooling for it, and so they started making their own Stockmans. However, it appears that the Wrangler model was always made by Camillus. Now, I did buy this knife as new old stock, so it is a brand new knife. It has not been used, and I do have the box for it, and I'll get to the box here in just a minute. So when I bought this knife, I thought I had a pre-1986 knife. Now I am not so sure. Now this knife was manufactured again under contract by Camillus for Buck. And roughly the knife came out in 1971 or 72, and it was manufactured all the way up until 1998. So again, I thought I had a knife that was maybe 40, 50 years old. Now, my knife could be anywhere from 20-something to 50 years old. I don't know. Because the knives that were made by Camillus did not put date stamps on the Tang stamp. And herein lies the glitch. I also have a Buck Muskrat that's new old stock. Same situation. That knife was made under contract by Camillus. So I'm left with this dilemma. How do I try to date this knife? Well, now I know it was made either between 1971 or 72 all the way up until 1998. So I thought I'd break out the box, and maybe the box might give me just a little bit of a clue. So the Wrangler came in a black box with white lettering. There it says Wrangler on it. Focus. There we go. I thought maybe the absence of a barcode or the presence of a barcode might give me some, indication. But barcodes came out in the early 70s, so, that's not really any help. So I got another couple other of the black boxes with the white lettering. And this is the 703 Colt, and it does have the date stamp on it. So the Colt was from 1994 that came out of this box. And then another box here, black. This is the 309 Companion, and the Companion was date stamped 1995. So here's the Wrangler box. So, based on the other two boxes, it looks like this came out in the mid-90s. I also have some other new old stock knives, one of which is the Prince, which is model 503. Focus, there we go, model 503. And you can see it's in a brown box with white lettering. And the prints was manufactured in 1992. Here's the muskrat box. Again, it's in a brown box. The muskrat was contracted by Camillus also. So, again, there's no date symbol on it. So, the prints and then the yearling here, model 709, both are in the brown boxes with the white lettering. So they're early 90s. So I'm assuming my muskrat was probably manufactured in the early 90s. So I just wanted my viewers to be aware, if you collect buck knives, if you're looking at some of the early slip joint knives in the 300 series, which would include your trappers, the muskrats, and stockmans, you know, just beware that if they were contracted by Camillus, they did not put any date symbol on the knife. This is still a fine knife. I'm still glad I have it. It's still a knife, you know, that's new old stock. It's not in production anymore. So I'm still glad I have this and that muskrat in my collection. But it really did kind of throw me, you know, for a loop when I discovered that my knife may not be quite as old as what I thought it was, and there's really no way at this point to narrow down when exactly this knife was manufactured. So while we're on the topic of the Tang stamps and you know, little glitches in the dating chart and how the knives were stamped, I did notice, and I did a video on this knife here, the Buck 212 Fixed Blade Ranger. When I first got the knife, I did notice on the Tang stamp, you see that symbol there. It's a T laying on its left side with a dot to the left of it. And if you look at the dating chart on this, it shows that, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the dot is on to the right of it. There we go. That's a good picture of it. It shows that this knife was manufactured in 2019. However, this was a special production run in 2021, and that's when I bought the knife. So my assumption is they had a bunch of 212 blades left over from other, you know, limited production runs, and they decided to come out with a Cocobolo handle, and they had all these knife blanks, you know, all ready to go, so they used the ones from 2019. So that just shows, you know, technically there's a 2-year gap. You know, when was this knife actually manufactured? Do you go off the time when they stamped out the blade, or do you use the year that they actually assembled the blade with the rest of the knife? Well, I hope you found this information to be useful. You know, like I said, it kind of threw me for a loop when I was trying to do my research on the Wrangler and trying to date it and learning about it, this and the muskrat. And I do want to do a you know, a series on the buck stockmans and the evolution, especially when they transition from being contracted from Camillus to buck making them themselves. So as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, I'd ask you to please subscribe. And I want to thank everyone for viewing this video. And until next time, have a delightful time with your knife collection.